This is Jonathan B.F. Bueno, your co-host, and you're listening to World Martial Arts Radio.
Attention business owners. Reach over 100,000 martial artists a month by advertising with World Martial Arts Media. We can put your product, service, or event announcements in front of your target audience. Advertise with World Martial Arts Magazine, World Martial Arts Radio, World Martial Arts TV, or all three media sources for the biggest bang for your advertising buck. Visit www.worldmartialartsmedia.com and click on the advertising link to see just how amazingly affordable it can be.
You are now listening to World Martial Arts Radio.
Comstock style, Stato. Those are some of the names given to the modern day martial art known as 52 blocks, also known as jailhouse rock. A martial art that even Mel Gibson himself studied for the movie Lethal Weapon, and a style that he used fighting against Gary Busey in that particular movie. Today, we have coming to the show Coach Lyte Burly, one of the more popular modern day masters of 52 blocks. He's a very cool guy. It's great talking to him. And he has a lot of knowledge, a lot of martial knowledge and a great background in the martial arts. And he's always good. I mean, it's always good talking to him because he's like a piece of history when it comes to this particular style that was created in the prisons. Or so it is said, it's an urban legend that it was created in the prisons of the United States back in the day, I think the 60s and 70s. So for more on this martial art, coming up, we got Lyte Burly, Coach Lyte Burly of 52 Blocks. And this is Alex Collazo, your host. All right, we're on now, my friend.
Yes, sir.
So how you doing? How's everything, my friend?
Everything is good right now. Everything is good. You know, we everything is good in 52 land. We working hard over here. You know, so far so good. Can't complain.
So you did some training this morning, huh?
Yes, sir. You know, today is my B day, and I had to start off with some. You know, I had to put in the training, start off the B day right. You know, get it. You know, look good, feel good. You know, the workout is definitely essential for all that. So, you know, I put in the good workout. I'm feeling strong, and I feel like I'm ready to take over the world.
Just to remind the listeners, I am talking to one of the coaches of 52 Blocks. It's a modern urban martial art. Can you give us a little bit of history?
52 Blocks is a system that exclusively looks at defense. And, you know, you hear a lot about self-defense, and, you know, I'm taking a self-defense class, and the defense that you actually learn is an offensive lesson. So, you know, they're saying the attacker attacks you, you punch this way, and, you know, so and so and so. 52 Blocks, where the difference from other arts is that exclusively looks at defense, and that would be, you know, blocks, clever footwork, hand feints, angle changes, and a lot of this was started way back in the day. They had what we call the Chitlin circuit, which was 10 black boxers in the ring blindfolded, and a lot of the arm movements and the hand, the twirling of the arms. A lot of it was just to kind of like feel out where your opponent was. And Jack Johnson, I think Jack Bowe was champions of this circuit, and Jack Johnson being one of the, I guess I would have to say the first most prominent black boxers, self-defensive black boxers, this is where this style started to grow from, you know, just being a couple of moves to a way to look at how to defend against the hook, the uppercut, the overhand. And, you know, you got 6 different looks. Like, you know, you had Eddie Futch, who trained Hedgeman Lewis when he fought Jose Napoli's, and Jose Napoli's smooth as butter. You know, his left hook was, you know, putting everybody to sleep. And though Hedgeman Lewis didn't win the fight, what he had got from Eddie Futch was like 8 different ways to dissolve the left hook. And this right there became, what the system we know as 52 blocks today, which was just a shakedown of, maneuvers that worked and some that didn't work, and being systemized into, all of the ones that they found to be credible.
You have mixed different types of martial arts into your 52 blocks, like Wing Chun, right?
No, I would just say that they share the same frame of thinking. Like Wing Chun believes in offense and defense at the same time. 52 believes in defense then offense, kind of like a counter punchers type of thing. So they share the same type of frame of thinking, I would say. But as far as arm shapes, 2 arms, 2 legs, nothing new under the sun. There's but so many different ways you can move the human body without, looking the same. But 52 was birthed through boxers, and at that time, boxing was the number one fighting system, a way to compete as far as fighters, and over here in America. So it was mainly brought through by boxers, and some like Skull and Bones may look like Quan Sao. I think it may be a Bong Sao, and they have the same type of elbow lead, but Wing Chun uses it kind of differently, and so does 52.
Wow, that's awesome. What other disciplines have you studied?
Wing Chun, Pakwa, Shin Yi, Tai Chi, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, did a little wrestling, boxing, of course. My main art being boxing, of course, but definitely, boxing. You gotta let my teacher. He wouldn't teach you Tai Chi unless you learned how to box. Shout out to Mr. Wilson Pitts, one of the greatest teachers alive, I believe. My own bias, one of the greatest teachers alive, and one of his things was you had to learn both. You couldn't just learn Tai Chi without boxing, and you couldn't learn boxing without Tai Chi.
That's awesome. So, like, if you're fighting, do you go into 52 blocks? Like, let's say you're in a self-defense situation where somebody's attacking you. Do you switch, or does it all come together?
It all. I've always said fighting has to be situational. You got to kind of blend and meet and meet your opponent. If you're fighting somebody in a self-defense situation, where a lot of people go wrong is they get trapped. They get trapped in their own world. And when you're fighting, it's kind of like dancing. You can dance by yourself, but if you're dancing with a partner, you got to pay attention to what your partner is doing too. So fighting in a self-defense situation is the same thing. You must be very aware to what your opponent is doing, so that way you mold to what he's doing. Now, am I throwing an uptown 52 block move while the guy is trying to get low and take my legs from under me? No, I'm not. That may be a recipe for failure, Right. But if he comes out and he positions himself like a boxer, like he really wants to, he wants to let his punches go, then 52 block jumps front and center. I don't assume a wide wrestling position if he jumps into a boxer's position or a kicker's position. I assume he's a striker, and my defense heightens, and I look for the counter shot, and that's why I do believe you should be trained in many different disciplines, especially if you're talking about if you're looking at a self-defense situation. You have to be trained in many disciplines because if you're just a boxer, you get into a fight with a wrestler and a kicker, and now you're out of your element. So I believe in a self-defense situation, you need more, and that's even more than 52. You need 52. 52 is like your shield. You have your sword and you're fighting. You have your shield. Or some people just have a sword, and that's why they go in with the right intentions, but they miss a cut, and then they get cut, and they start falling apart, and this becomes a problem. So you look at 52 as your shield. You strengthen your shield, and then you strengthen your sword through whatever offense, you have with you. So when I'm in a self-defense situation, if the guy's a good striker, 52 block is front and center. If he's a wrestler, then something like Pakwa and Tai Chi is front and center, because now I need to catch him as he comes in, or maybe he gets in and makes a purchase, and I have to work from there. Those arts move front and center. So to me, it's like having a tool belt. You go in to make a house. You can't just go in with a hammer. You got to go in with a screwdriver. You need a flathead. You need that other screwdriver. You may need a bulldozer too. You need different stuff. You need different stuff. So you can't look at a job as just as one thing. You got to look at a job as having many things to get the job done effectively.
Wow. I know we talked about this before in private, but I like the story, and I've seen a lot of footage of you fighting in the Lyte, that Kung Fu tournament. And so, tell us a little bit about that, your experience there.
Oh, the Lyte was good. Lyte was a good experience for me because also I was before Lyte, I was kind of like on a winning spree. I was doing very well, let's say that. And when I got to Lyte, I had to battle John, and it was, we fought all the way to the end. He got the last flag to go on to Singapore, and we were both fighting to go to Singapore, and I would have loved the trip to go, and we battled all the way to the end, and even though I came in, I just had a fighter that just fought, and I think he experienced the same thing I experienced. And even though I came in and I knew I was going to win, and the victory was already set in my head. I was already in Singapore. All I had to do was just get my body there. But he won, and I kind of I'm throwing all my stuff across the room, my headgear across the room, and Mr. Wilson Pitts. Shout out to Mr. Wilson Pitts, love him to death. He's gathering my pieces. And he's gathering the mouthpiece here, a helmet there, gloves there, and he told me to walk out with my head up, and I learned from that thing there that loss is also important. I learned so much from that fight. I mean, even the headgear I had on, Wilson had told me to merge with it more, but I was like, nah, I got this. I'm like Burly. I make people miss. But what I didn't, what Wilson was trying to tell me is that the headgear made my head bigger. So, what I had, my measurements for my head was for really what it was, not with the headgear on. So when I'm taking shots, I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? So I kind of I had to switch to dog mode and just battle out. And it was a good battle. We battled hard, and much props to that fighter, because even with when Mayweather was getting ready for the Pacquiao fight, they talked about as much as he's undefeated now in the gold medals, he was a bronze medalist, meaning he lost. And there's a guy that he lost to, and I kind of took that. That was my moment. Not to say I would never lose again, but I see that moment as I will never lose again, because I will never put myself in a position where I already won. I will never do that again. I entered a situation not knowing the outcome, but what I do know is I trained very hard, and if I catch you slipping, I got you. I will put you away. Yeah.
That's one of the things that stands out to me, about 52 blocks. Like, for example, in my martial art freehand, in the beginning, the basics is all footwork. And, is that, how would you say you start somebody out? Is footwork important?
So important. It's the first thing. It's like, we have walking the dog, and that's just learning how to step and jab at the same time. And though it sounds such like it's like a simple tactic or a simple technique, it's very hard to do when you haven't done it before, because you're telling your mind to move and punch at the same time. So the first thing you have to know, like building a house, I know nobody who builds a house from the roof down. So, you first got to lay the cement, you got to lay the foundation, you build the house up. Same thing with a fighter. You got to lay the cement, and the cement is his feet. He has to understand. He has to, the Chinese say that you have two brains, one in your head and one in your feet. And I believe in that, because when the feet are intelligent, you are so much a problem, it's ridiculous. I don't care what you know. You can be a Muay Thai fighter. If you got some ridiculous feet, they're going to call you the spoiler. You get the name of the spoiler. Like me, you become a spoiler of techniques, because the feet, oh man, when you open up the brain and the feet, And people think, and what that means is true footwork. Like a lot of people think footwork is the Ali shuffle. That's not footwork. That's that's a foot pattern. That's not footwork. Footwork is sensitive feet. Like you know where to step for optimum leverage, strength, and power and balance. So when you wake up the feet, it's just you can lay whatever on top. He doesn't have to. He can be a boxer. He can be a kickboxer. He can be a wrestler. He can be whatever. But if this foundation is right, he's going to be a spoiler. He can be a problem. So I definitely started at footwork, and we built up from there. I've had students that, my student, Young Burly, he spent 2 years on footwork before, we did punches before we really engaged on how to punch a man in the face. We had to engage on, like, how to move and, because this is still free space. Even though you may be fighting in the streets or a cage or a ring, it's still free space, and that's very hard to do, is to hit a man in free space and stay relaxed and, and really go to work. So footwork is what brings you into that play. And if you don't have that type of footwork, then, you'll never get off.
I think if more martial artists out there, regardless of the discipline, concentrated and focused more on footwork, they'd be unbeatable in the fight game. I mean, especially in competition, right?
Yes, definitely. I've been to a lot of tournaments, and every now and then you get one of those fighters, I don't know if they're taught in footwork or if they just naturally have it. And when you see those guys fight, they always win. And it's always a beautiful thing to watch because that's the key to fighting. The key to fighting, and that's what one thing Wilson would always talk about. It's not rock'em sock'em robots. We don't just stand there banging on each other. He said that's like Chinese water torture chamber. Stand there pounding on each other's faces. Who wants to do that? So you have to move, and moving your feet just opens up better angles for better shots. It's not even just about just moving. Is about creating an angle for a good shot. So you have to move, and we spend, like I said, I spend a lot of time there before we do anything hand wise, because you see 52 blocks, but if you don't have the proper footwork, then you're just standing there trying to block shots and thinking like a kung fu movie that's going to go wrong. And and there was a lot, and believe it or not, a lot of 52 block practitioners, they won't always winners. We had trial and error too. A lot of people got knocked out and they had to forfeit their chins for brothers like me to learn not to do what they did. And I did. A lot of people were sacrificial lambs, and and we thanked them for standing there and doing all types of fancy stuff and getting beat up for the rest of us to learn, like, oh shoot, let me learn how to move around there and get my blocks going. So not only am I blocking, but I'm blocking on the move. So I'm not just one problem, I'm double the problem. Like, I go to a lot of places and do seminars, and I do a thing where I let people try to hit me, and I guess they may expect for me to stand there and get on some kung fu thing, but when I start moving them around and they're breathing heavy and they're like, well, you're just not standing still. That's why it's hard to hit you. I said, of course, that's part of the thing. I'm not just going to stand there and give myself to you. You're going to have to earn this. And that's the thing. That's the thing, So we focus a lot of time on footwork, at least in my style of 52 trainer.
Before we go closing up, give me a little bit of history on your mentor, Wilson, Coach Wilson.
Oh man, Wilson Pitts. Oh man, I got a lot of shouts out. First and foremost, Roberto Sharp. Roberto Sharp is another student of Wilson Pitts, and I trained with Roberto Sharp for a long time. And once I graduated from him, I moved on to Wilson Pitts, and both lifelong martial artists. Years in. Wilson Pitts, man, what can you say about him? Trained in the Philadelphia gyms. He was blessed to watch Georgie Benton train fighters. He was in there when Eddie Futch came in there and talked with Georgie Benton. He was in there. Joe Frazier would walk in the gym and look over and say, "Hey, white boy, are they treating you good in here?" This is Wilson Pitts. So this is the apple don't fall far from the tree. This is where my lineage is from. If there was any type of lineage talk, my lineage would be from there. And lifelong martial artists. You can look them up on YouTube, Facebook, One Room School, Wilson Pitts. he has a blog. He does pluguglyboxing.com. He has a blog up there where he talks about boxers, breaks down the Willie Peps. Let me tell you, the man told me I couldn't talk to him about boxing until I watched 4,000 hours of old footage. Wow. We couldn't have a conversation. He said, don't even talk to me. Don't talk to me about no boxing till you watch 4,000 hours. Now, 10 years later, 10,000, maybe 20,000 hours footage later, we sit down and we talk about what Willie Pep did against Sandy Sadler. We talk about what Georgie Benton did against Hurricane Carter when Hurricane Carter was laying everybody on their back like they wanted to take a nap. Why Georgie Benton didn't go. He didn't win the fight, but why did Georgie Benton not get knocked out? Because his defensive prowess, his true execution of the Philly shell, So this is Wilson. He's an encyclopedia of fight information from Tai Chi to boxing, Shin Yi, all of my higher level Pakwais from him. So, we salute him, and he's the one that told me when I was telling him about 52 blocks, he got in my face and he said, let me tell you something. It's your duty to put this information out and not let it die with you. And so we all thank Wilson Pitts, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have put out a DVD on this, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, love to Wilson Pitts. Much love.
The man.
The man.
Yeah, that's right. So where can we find you, man? If we want to train under you, where do we go?
Lyte Burly 52 at Yahoo, Lyte Burly 52 blocks at hotmail.com, LyteBurly.com, the website. TSP is always going to be my home base. Wednesdays and Saturdays, I teach classes in there on 52 blocks from 9 to 12:30. Classes can range from $25 all the way up to $40, depending on the person. If you're a fighter, prices will be discounted. If you're planning to get in the ring and wear the 52 block flag, we can work out a deal for you. Wednesday through Sundays, 9:30 to 12. You can find me at TSP Park. Trying to enlighten more people on, just don't try to punch somebody in the face. Learn how not to be punched in the face, and come to 52 blocks. So
all right,
that's why I can be proud.
All right, my man. Well, it's been a great interview, man. I'm so grateful that you called in, man.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I myself am one of your biggest fans. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, I'm a fan of the fans, because if it wasn't for anybody watching, then I would just be talking to myself, and I'd be a crazy man. So, so thank everybody that's tuned in to the 52 block and paid attention to me and gave me a reason to keep going. So salute.
Salute. All right, my man.
Yes, sir.
Until next time.
Yes, sir. One love.
All right, brother.
Indefinitely brought to you by World Martial Arts Radio.